Okay, I can see some people are still coming in, but we're going to get started for those that are here already. So hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. You just joined She Can Code's live webinar called Navigating Your First Tech Job. I'm your host for today, Kaylee Bateman, the Managing Director, Community and Partnerships at She Can Code. For those tuning in who aren't familiar with us, She Can Code is a collaborative community working together to tackle the tech gender gap. You can join our community platform to find a supportive network of like-minded individuals, new opportunity and guidance to help you to excel in your tech career. Our community platform is free and it is kept free by the help of our corporate ambassadors. So please go ahead and join and find a like-minded network in there. Before I introduce our speakers, please note that we have a live Q&A session running throughout today. So please submit your questions throughout and we will try and get to them at the end. Users are usually very chatty, so we hope to see lots and lots of questions in there today. We have an extra special panel today with some wonderful guests who I would like to introduce, and I'm going to hand over to in a second. But we have Teuta from Quantexa, we have Hiba from Dunelm, we have Jenni from AutoTrader, and we have Gayatri from Code for Creatures. Welcome, ladies. Thank you all so much for joining this panel today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you all on here. Can we start with a little bit of context about each of you, please, to set the scene for our community? Teuta, should we start with you?
Rookie mistake. Yeah, I'm Teuta, and I had finished my bachelor's in maths, and then during that bachelor's I did a thesis on blockchain and Bitcoin, and I was really intrigued in like cybersecurity, so I went off and done my master's, and I'm finishing it up in cybersecurity. So it wasn't completely my path for cybersecurity. I've always been gravitated into like data and logic and stuff like that. And once finishing like the teaching of my master's, I luckily found Quantexa, and I've been at Quantexa for the last year and 1 month. So yeah, I'm a data engineer, associate data engineer here at Quantexa, going through the graduate program. So yeah, been enjoying it, loving it, all of the good stuff.
Amazing. How did you fall into that originally? What, was it something that you loved at school or university? Someone inspire you?
So originally my career like wishes was to become a doctor, and it was actually through sixth form that I realized during A levels that maths is just my thing, and me and numbers just get on together and it just clicks in my brain. So I think it was in the second year of my A levels I switched subjects and just I went from doing like biology and chemistry and all of that to maths and further maths, and it was just like, yeah, it was just a clicky thing for me. Yeah.
I'm always so jealous of people that can do maths and then further maths. I wish my brain worked that way. It's one of those
Yeah,
things.
I don't know why. It's just something that just clicks with me. So I changed my career path in the second year of A levels. So
Amazing. And so far so good.
yeah.
Hiba, tell us all about you.
Yeah, I'm Hiba. I'm a tech lead at Dunelm. I started off in a graduate scheme, but so I did a bachelor's in information technology and computing, and then I joined a graduate scheme, which was amazing because it took me across different areas and different teams. And I was a developer for 5 years, and then for the past 3 years, I was tech lead. Different technologies, back end and front end. I couldn't quite settle on one area, so I love them both equally. Yeah, I've always wanted to be a developer since secondary school. I think it's similar to what Teuta was saying about, I tried a line of code and it clicked, and I thought, yep, I want to do this. It's fun. I want to have a job that's fun. So it just worked out.
At secondary school as well, was that a teacher that showed you or somebody in the family that works in tech, or are you the first?
Not the first. My sister's also, she's an AI architect. So I think it was my family, and my dad had a computer shop when I was younger. So I think it was meant to be.
Yes, yeah, you were one of those children that it just you just love taking things apart, probably that you weren't meant to. Amazing. Jenny, tell us all about you.
Yeah, so I actually did my degree in event management, so it's very unrelated to what I'm doing now, which is I'm a senior software engineer. I kind of fell into the tech side of things because I applied for a temp job at the company I'm working at now, Autotrader, about 10 years ago. And I was just doing like data entry stuff. And through there, I went to customer service, and then I was like, I actually hate customer service. So I went into tech support. And while I was on tech support, it was very much like you're just constantly hearing about these problems and then just like sending them to the developers. And it's like, I don't like kind of just like sending it on. I want to really like fix things. So I applied to do an apprenticeship, and I did that about 7 years ago. And here I am 7 years later.
Incredible. I love it when we hear people that have taken squiggly routes and those that didn't always have the traditional route, because a lot of our community have that they took something completely different at university but still found their way into tech, which is the brilliant thing about the tech industry. How did you find your way from event management into tech?
It's interesting because I did my degree, and then I wanted to work for like music festivals, and then I worked for a music festival, and I was like, I hate this. I hated the culture. It was very male dominated. It was very like aggressive, and I'm not really an aggressive person. So I just started like applying around for temp jobs, and then eventually I just got the one that I had at Autotrader.
Love that. I love that you said that you found that male dominated, but you've come into tech and that's not. So that's a good thing to hear.
I think it's a very different male dominated culture. It's like the music industry, it is pretty much as you expect. It's very like male, like not very respectful of women, and like there's like a big like substance abuse problem in that industry, whereas tech is a bunch of nerds at the computer, which is much more my speed.
I love that. I love that you found home eventually. And last but not least, Gayatri, can you tell us all about you?
Hello. So I work as a full stack engineer at ITV, and I've been there for 3.5 years now. Alongside of that, I run my own social impact organization, Code for Creatives, where I empower women to get into tech through different sort of coaching programs that I have. And my journey seems traditional and then got a bit untraditional. So I went to university, studied software engineering, and I think I had that moment where you come out of university and you think, oh yeah, it's so easy to get a job now, and realized, oh, I don't even understand half the stuff that's on the job description right now. I looked at half of the things and I was like, I can't apply for this. I can't, like, I started to doubt whether I should continue going down the path. And I got to a point where I was considering, do I go back to uni and do a master's degree to help me land a job, or do I do something very untraditional and go into a coding bootcamp? Because it's not, you wouldn't go to uni to think then you've got to come out and do a bootcamp. So I went and did the bootcamp. I took the untraditional route, and it was probably the best decision I made, because I came out of it with the tech skills that I needed and the knowledge around what the industry was looking for at that time. And so once I graduated from the bootcamp, I landed my role at ITV and been there ever since. And yeah, it's a bit about how I got into tech.
Love that. And I take it, what is life at ITV like? That sounds like that's going to be super cool. Is it everything that you thought it was going to be?
It was definitely fun at first. When you go in, you know, you see all like the fun TV, like behind the scenes TV sides. If you're a Love Island fan, you see Love Island themed like bathrooms and stuff. After a while, you do get used to it. You're like, oh, this is just standard.
Just the Love Island bathroom.
just a little like selfie thingy there, whatever it is. But yeah, it is quite fun, to be honest.
Love that. And you started your own venture as well. How did that come about?
I think I had questions just through LinkedIn from other women who had basically seen that I had gone to uni, gone to a bootcamp, landed a role at ITV, and basically just wanted to know how I did that. And I thought there's definitely like women out there who are questioning how did you even do this? Like, it seems impossible to even land a role in tech at the moment. I feel even worse after COVID. And so it just sparked an idea in my head that there's women out there, and the best way for me to help them is create something that is an organization where I can invite them in and, you know, help them to see that if I can do it, you can definitely do it as well.
Yes, I love that. And you are so right there. There are so many people that have questions about working in the industry, and it's just connecting them and connecting the dots with the right people with the answers. You're so right there. It's finding a place for that, and we love to do that within our community, to sort of connect the dots with the people that have the questions. You will see a lot of questions come in here today, so thank you for being here to be able to help with some of those that will come in. Ladies, we have got quite a bit to cover today, so we're going to kick off with our first question. So I'm going to throw it out to Teuta. What's one thing that you wish you'd understood about company culture before starting your first tech role, and how would that have changed your approach?
Thanks, Katie. I think before coming into my first tech role, I kind of always thought culture was something you fit into, you know, like you have those questions of like, will I fit in? Will I get along with people? You know, all of that. But I think I've learned that it's something you help shape from day one. So instead of having that mentality of, am I going to fit in? It's like joining the culture and shaping it so that you do, like, it feels like home. So I think that's like a big thing. And also just don't be shy. I think that's like one thing I tell everyone and anyone I speak to, regardless of what they're doing, is just like, don't be shy, and don't be like shy to like build relationships, not just within your team, but even outside of your team. So like different sectors, the people team, you know, like marketing, like you're all part of the same company, and you know, you have that sort of connection through the company. And just collaborating as well. Just don't be shy to collaborate, don't be shy to speak up, you know, like having all of these things from the start, it really, really helps like navigate your path through the company. So yeah, so I now get involved with a lot of like company events, you know, like International Women's Day and all of these like key events that we have at Quantexa, and we celebrate. And I'm at a point where I'm not shy to put my hand up and be like, hey, like, can I assist with something? You know, like just not afraid to reach out. I think that, and just helping shaping the culture. So yeah.
And it's great as well that you found yourself in a company where you're allowed to do that, and that you found yourself in that quite early on in your career, because that can really dent someone's confidence. If you're in the wrong place, they don't give you that confidence to be part of the company culture, to help create that company culture, and it's not built into that company's DNA. That can really set you off on a different sort of path of where you'd like to go. So that's great that you got to do that quite upfront, because Quantexa are very open and welcoming of people doing that and what you get involved in. Did you think it was going to be like that? Or did you think it was going to be quite stereotypical tech, working on your own, don't talk to anyone?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't have much of like an expectation. I mean, I came from Apple and I worked there for 5.5 years in like retail. So techie, genius bar work and whatnot, but I just didn't know what to expect. And it's definitely exceeded my expectation. And I feel really lucky to be part of a company that opens the door and just invites you in like the way you are, and you know, is happy to like listen, and you know, like it's just, yeah, just like you said, it's a company that really, really helps value you in a way. And that's like company culture, but then like it gives me motivation to do my actual coding, like programming, like all my day-to-day tasks. Like it's one of those things that makes me want to come to work, you know. It's one of those things that like I enjoy, like the vibe when I come into the office, and even when I'm like not in the office, I still have that sense of, okay, yeah, I want to, you know, I want to work, and I know I have that like sense of belonging here, which is really, really nice. And I can be free and open-minded, and like shoot out a message to anyone and not be like reserved about it. So it's really nice to be part of that culture and have that, because it can feel like really daunting at first, but once I'm in the once I came in the door and went through the academy and stuff like that, it's been really, really nice and really grateful.
Yes, and because you went through that academy as well, that was a good way to test the culture and whether or not you wanted, because they offered you a job, but it's whether or not you wanted to take that job after that experience. So
Sure.
a good way to test the waters. Jenny, I could see you nodding along a little bit there about company culture. I take it that's something that you would agree with. And as some of our community members, but also we've seen in surveys, is that a lot of students nowadays, they're not just looking for salary, they're looking for company culture. And that's kind of the thing that they're really looking for when they make a decision about which company they join, because like Teuta said, it is a feeling every day, and that feeling of how do I feel when I go to work, from that belonging rather than what am I earning. Is that something that you have seen, or when you chose your job, is that kind of what you were looking for?
Yeah, so I mean, I immediately noticed the company culture when I moved from that music job to working in Auto Trader, because it was like people were nice to you, which was crazy. And like your managers, like they manage you, but like they're still like treat you as a person, which I didn't necessarily get at all the companies I worked before that. But one of the things that Teuta was saying was about how she got involved with the women's network stuff, and I had a similar thing where I got involved with our LGBT network, and I felt like that helped shape some of the culture, and it meant that we made a lot of changes to the company, to policy, things like that made it like a lot better place for LGBT people, but not just for LGBT people, because as we know, when you improve like the culture for one group, it really like expands out, and it just makes the place a more inclusive place to be in. And one of the things that I got involved in really early was I started like kind of doing like fun events for my team to try and improve the culture and make it so people got to know each other a bit. I got involved, there was like a little group of us, and we started doing that. And like that's expanded out now, and I'm in a group that kind of organizes that like fun getting to know each other culture at a department-wide level. So I do that for all of our like developers and our product and tech people. And like I think doing things like that really helps. I think getting to know your co-workers whilst doing something that's fun, not just sitting in a meeting room together and going for a problem. I think that kind of thing is really just, it helps make the culture feel a lot more relaxed, and like it helps you as well, because it means that you know people from other teams, and when you have a problem you can go to people in those other teams because you have that personal relationship. And that's why building up that culture is so important, I think.
Yes, you're right. You're so right there, because some people will think, oh, it's those sort of forced fun company days.
Yeah.
And actually there is a lot more behind that as to why you need to get to know those people. And like you said, when you do have problems, not only can you reach out, but you work together better because you've had those situations. So you know each other a little bit more, you know how to navigate challenges together. And it just brings you much closer than you just randomly shot someone a message to say, don't need your help or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Never.
Because when I started as well, the only way that happened was like down the pub, which means that first of all, like anyone who doesn't drink is excluded from getting involved in that culture. Anybody who has childcare responsibilities that they have to go to straight after work can't get involved in that. And that was one of the things I wanted to change, because I don't drink, and it's like I want to be able to get to know people without having to like force myself to go and sit with a Coke in the bar all evening, you know?
Yes, exactly. And you're right. I'm not a fan of those environments as well, where you're all standing around not knowing what to say, and it's too loud and you can't really connect in those moments. So I agree, having different ways that you can connect as a company, definitely important. And an eye-opener as well when you do go into the workplace. Hiba, let's go to you. I wanted to ask you a little bit about when you encounter a technical challenge early on, How do you decide whether to push through independently or seek help from colleagues? We covered that a little bit there about being able to reach out to colleagues when you need. Hopefully you've met them at other times. But what do you do when you encounter a technical challenge early on, and do you just think, I'm going to drown here on my own, or reach out and help others?
I think in general it's really important to give something a go independently first. So, do some research, try things out, because I think especially as you're starting out, this is how you build your problem solving skills, which is really important, because above all else, I think developers, engineers, we're problem solvers. So that's a really important skill to have and to build up. But you do need to set a time box for yourself. So if you find yourself, getting stuck in something, working on something, getting stuck, you're not making progress, you need to reach out and ask for help, especially if you're working on something that's critical. So the criticality really does feed into that time boxing. But then, like, Jenni was saying, you do need to kind of build that connection with your teammates to be able to reach out and ask for help. I think if you're able to do that, and also maybe reframe the idea of asking for help, because I mean, honestly, when I started off, I think sometimes I would get a bit maybe shy, a bit embarrassed of reaching out, asking for help. But then I kind of reframed it as, actually, this is a growth opportunity for me, because I'm going to reach out to someone. I'm not going to say, can you fix it for me? I'm going to say, can you show me? Could you walk me through it? Could I shadow you? And then based on that, I'm going to learn, and I'm not going to get asked for help next time. But then in another way, we're all working in teams, mostly I'd probably say. And that's the whole point of a team, that you're able to reach out to your teammates and they're there to support you, you can support them. So I think the short answer really is time boxing, but it does sort of depend on the criticality, and it needs that relationship with your teammates in order for that to work.
Yes, I love that. And Dunelm is one of those companies as well where that culture is really there. We popped in and visited you as well, and you kind of get that vibe as well when there's a team that's open, that you can ask. I notice, especially when you go into work for the first time, that imposter syndrome just kicks in, and you are like, someone's going to find me out. I should not be here. I shouldn't have landed this job. And that is something that you have to navigate. And when you navigate that throughout your entire career, to be fair, but especially when you're in the first time, because you need to ask questions, but you don't want to be that person that is sort of sitting there thinking, I can't ask because people are going to know. So having an environment where, again, that's built into the culture, where you can reach out and ask questions and not have to suffer on your own independently, really does make a difference, doesn't it? It's just kind of, again, if you fall into the wrong company and you feel like you can't do that, you could probably quite easily just sink into yourself and think those thoughts of imposter syndrome, you're just sitting there with them until you go and leave tech, leave that company, whatever it may be.
Yeah, sort of having that safety to say, I don't know this. But
Yes.
then eventually, as you get into tech, I think you're going to get comfortable by saying, I don't know. I think most of all, you aren't expected to know everything, but you are expected to ask.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the main thing.
Safe environment. I love that, to be able to ask. Gayatri, yourself, do you feel, what do you wish that you'd known about company culture? And is that kind of what you found in your career so far, of being in that safe environment to be able to just ask? It's okay to ask. You don't have to know everything.
Yeah, I think when we start a new job, we have this assumption that if I ask, I'm going to look bad, or like I'm not going to look like a good new starter. And I think I learned quite quickly that the best way for me to approach that was, like Hiba said, try it out yourself, try and figure out the problem, Google it. Someone might have been through the same problem on like Stack Overflow. If you've done all of that and read the documentation, then informing, for example, if it's your manager or your team member, just approaching them saying, hey, I've had this problem for like a few hours or a couple of days, whatever it is, and telling them what you've tried. So that shows them that you've actually attempted to solve the problem, and you're showing them that you're being proactive, but you just need a little bit of guidance. You need someone to just hold your hand a little bit and saying, I've tried XYZ, I'm still getting nowhere with this. I'd really love your input on it. And I think just basically that shows teamwork as well. It shows that you're trying to work on something and just need a bit of guidance. And it helps you with your confidence, because it helps you to be like, actually, I did try and solve the problem and I didn't get to where I wanted, and that's okay. And now I just need to build that a little bit more confidence and just know when to ask for help. And it's not wrong to ask for help as well.
Yes, because a lot of companies as well, especially in the interview stages, they're looking for people that are going to learn and soak things up and be a sponge and are always looking to learn something new. But then if you're met with, why are you asking that? That really doesn't actually meet your expectations when you go into the workplace and you can't ask questions. That is usually what they're looking for. So if you have a team that is very curious and is always asking questions, encourages you to do that, that really does help you. When I started out, a few companies in, I fell into an American company, and I found that was a very different environment, and that they were very supportive of trying new things. And I got told, don't cost us any money, but try new things. So that was usually what they wanted us to do. And it was such an eye-opener, and probably gave me more confidence, because they just said, you know what, give things a go. And like you just said there, being proactive, you've tried to find a solution. It's not like you're reaching out because you haven't tried yet, but giving things a go, and feeling that you're again in that safe environment where you can do that, makes such a difference to your early career. For when you do move on, you take that enthusiasm with you, and you tend to stay at those places longer as well. I was far more committed and stayed there a lot longer than anywhere I'd been, because they kept trying to encourage me to stay curious and ask questions and try new things. But again, something we always say on here, it's not something that is solved overnight either. There's no sort of silver bullet for that. It is something that is built into that culture every single day, and each project that comes up, you see that. Whereas I think some companies think our culture's slightly broken, how do we solve this problem? It's like, actually, that's a whole process that you need to go through. It's not one thing that you need to do. It's a whole series of things. Jenni, I wanted to ask you, what strategies have you found most effective for building credibility and trust with a new team in the first few months?
One of the things that I think is just the easiest way just to immediately build some credibility is just speaking, which sounds really easy, but it's like those team ceremonies, like kickoffs, stand-ups, retros, things like that. Just try and say something in all of them. When I first started out in my stand-ups, I would make sure I stand behind the person who I was pairing with, and then get them to say it, and then just be like, oh yeah, same, because I was so like afraid to speak up. I found once I actually started I actually took the time before each meeting just to think, okay, what exactly do I need to say? What have I worked on, so that I'm ready and prepared, and I go in, I'm like, okay, so yesterday we did this, today we're doing this. And it just, once I started doing that, it just meant, one, that people kind of got to know me and the team a little bit, and like my voice was getting out there a bit, but it also meant that it showed that I knew what I was talking about. I knew the work that I've been doing. And another thing that I did, especially early on, is take the time after I've done a bit of work just to kind of review the work that I've done, make sure I understand it, and then write down any questions I have about how something's been done. For me, we pair a lot, so I was doing a lot of pairing with more senior people, and I didn't necessarily always understand what we were doing. But just taking the time to kind of try and understand and write down questions, when I can go back to them with those questions, it shows that I've paid attention and that I'm actually trying to learn, and I'm not just sat there just watching and let everyone else do the work.
Yes, I love that. Yes, being mindful about it as well. And like you said, always having something to say, or at least preparing slightly for that. At our hackathons, we put everybody into teams, and then at the end of the day, you have to present back what you've been doing. We ask every member of that team to say something, because it pushes people out of their comfort zone in, again, a safe environment. You have all of us, usually she can code it, just stupid, over the top, excited about what you're doing, and we are all very supportive, but the room is very supportive as well. So it's a good opportunity to have to do some public speaking for a couple of minutes just to talk about what you did on that project and your little bit on that project. But putting yourself in positions where you do that do help you when you go back into the workplace and you have to do things like stand-ups. And I remember being in my first stand-up and thinking, oh God, I absolutely hate this. I feel so exposed as to what is happening in here. But you do get put in those positions where you have to think ahead a little bit and think, I have to say something about what I'm doing, and to really push yourself. Teuta, you mentioned at the start about being shy and not wanting to do that, and then kind of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to do that. And again, it's down to that being in a safe environment to do it. But it is a struggle at first, though, isn't it? You almost have to just ignore the voices and just
Yeah, I mean,
push yourself.
it definitely is a struggle, and sometimes it's like you question yourself, shall I speak to this person, shall I not? But I think, like, especially when you're navigating your first tech job, and like generally when it's your first tech job, you're gonna have a lot of training at the start. Like for me, I had 3 months, and I would like advise to use those 3 months where, like, before you get into like client work, before you get into like the nitty-gritty like work life, just use that like training period to get to know people, get to know your instructors, like who's like helping you go through your training. Use those times when you're in the office, in the break room, like approach people and, you know, like tell people about you, because, you know, something is gonna like you're in that building or that place together for a reason, and there's gonna be something that resonates with someone else. I feel like you're definitely gonna find that, and it's just, yeah, it is a difficult thing. I think it's just like sometimes you just need to like shut your brain off in those moments and just don't listen to like your voices inside and just go for it. And I feel like once you start getting into those conversations and you start like resonating with things with someone else, and you kind of build that relationship and, you know, the key things that you need in a team.
Yes, and people know what they can approach you on as well when you start voicing what you're really good at and what people know they can approach you on when they need help as well.
Sure.
And one way to do that is mentorship. So something that we haven't covered in here yet is the importance of mentorship and how that can really help in your navigate your first tech job. If you can get a mentor, fantastic. We have a mentoring program in our community platform, by the way. If you are not already on there, please go and check it out. But Gayatri, I wanted to ask you, can someone new to tech make the most of mentorship opportunities without feeling like they're imposing on the mentor's time? That's sometimes you do feel a bit like, could you help me with something? Have you got the time? When actually you should just jump in and say, please help me.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel like you can do that. And some of the ways that might help with not feeling like you're intruding their time on their time is maybe set expectations, certain expectations when you're having that initial call with them, of like requesting them, whether you want like monthly coffee chats, whether you want like easy access via Slack, for example. What is it you would like want from them as a mentor, and obviously see if they can meet you where you are. Or is it just that, for example, you just want code reviews rather than like talking to someone, you just want someone to help you with your problem solving skills? So I think setting an expectation from the beginning helps the mentor to understand what you're looking for, but also helps you to get what you want as a mentee. And I think also just coming prepared. We obviously want to build a relationship with the mentor, but it helps if you're having a session with them, just come prepared with what it is exactly you want from that session. So if you're having a session with them, instead of just saying, oh, I just want to improve my problem solving skills, be a bit more specific and say, I was having issues with arrays in JavaScript, for example, and I don't really understand it as much. Could you help me understand it a bit better? So if you come like really prepared, it helps you feel like you're not wasting their time and you're getting what you want from it as well. So I definitely feel like there's ways to navigate it better so that you get what you want from a mentor. And it's definitely very, very useful when you're in your first role and you kind of want someone maybe who's not at your company. You can also get a mentor in your company if that's something you're open to. If you'd prefer having someone external, that's there as well. But it's just setting those expectations on both ends and then being like, okay, once that's done and you know what you want, you can move forward.
Yes, I love that. And we built our program around something similar because it's quite easy to waste the opportunity when you do match with somebody. And when you do get together, we try and do an 8-week guidance of what to talk about each week. And also, if it gets weird, you can part ways midway. It's fine. And there's a nicely worded email that you fire after that person. So maybe this isn't working, because you don't want to waste each other's time if it wasn't the right match, or perhaps sometimes people jump in and then they don't have the time available. But mentoring can feel a little bit strange. So it is absolutely correct to think, I'll go in, I know what I want to talk about and I know what I want to get out of this, because also your mentor is not a mind reader, and they don't quite know what you need from that session. So yes, being prepared and being okay with that, going in and asking those questions. That's, I'm sure your mentor would really appreciate you being prepared and what you would like to get out of that session as well. Is brilliant advice. I can see so many questions coming in, by the way. So I'm going to jump over to some of these because there are some brilliant questions coming in. Louisa, she jumped in with the first question. Louisa's put some brilliant questions in here. I'm going to tackle a couple of hers to begin. She said here, how can you avoid being typecast as a coder programmer? Any advice for Louisa? Any of you's ever just been thrown in as, oh, you're just that coder programmer and that's it? Or do any of yous do way more than that? I hope. But is there something that you do to ensure that you're not just seen as that typecast?
I think goes back to like getting involved with company-wide events, like showing your value in not just the technical side, but also the non-technical sides. Like planning socials for your team, even, getting involved with the company events, different teams, and kind of like just showing that your value just doesn't stop at the technical. There's more to you, and having your personality on show, or talking about your personal experiences, stuff like outside of work, maybe somewhere you've traveled, or just like little like personality stuff, bringing that out, I think kind of like takes that image of, okay, you just sit down and program and that's it, like there's more to my life than just sitting down and looking at a screen of code.
Exactly, yes, that personality that shines through. And when we popped in to see you's come down, and like we do photos and cake and coffee and fun. It's all, to help to bring that to life, to help to bring to life what you do at a company as well. And like you said, it's not just you sitting down and doing a few lines of code, but to help that building a personal brand takes some time, but it's the little things that you can get involved in a company, definitely. And mentors, as Gayatri mentioned, internal and external as well, can really help, whether finding people inside your company and also external to help you to create that brand and to tell a little bit more about you and what you do and why you're valuable. I love that. Louisa is also asking here, I'm going to throw it out, how worried should we be about AI taking over early career tech jobs? Anybody? I mean, it's on the tip of everybody's tongue at the minute. I mean, she's bang on there. So anybody worried about that? Or are you all utilising AI in a good way for your job? But are you worried?
I don't think anyone should be worried. Until it actually starts taking over our jobs, then we can worry. But right now, if it's not happening in the next 5 minutes, then we shouldn't worry about it. I do get that question quite a lot of like, oh, but AI is going to take my job. And I'm like, it hasn't done it yet, so let's not stress. There's plenty of software engineering jobs, if you search on LinkedIn, still out there. I think there's this misconception and this scaremongering that's going on at the moment that AI is going to be taken over. But I think a lot of people should realize that tech is needed in every single industry. It's the only area, I feel like, in my opinion, where you can go into TV, healthcare, finance, whatever it is, you can enter any industry with tech. And at the moment, companies are starting to use AI, but nobody knows how to use AI unless you're an AI engineer. And people are becoming AI engineers because they know the rise of AI. And so we're still at the very early stages of AI and trying to figure it out. And I think if you think about it logically, like even if companies do start just relying on AI, they still need someone who's going to need to build that AI system. So we are still very much needed. We're probably the people that's needed the most in all the industries at the moment, minus lawyers and doctors and everything. But yeah, I would honestly say that people shouldn't worry as much because it's not taken over any of our jobs yet. In some ways, actually, it's made our jobs easier.
Yes.
With writing documentation, for example, we can use AI to refine it, helping to practice code a lot more. So I think there's been benefits so far from what I've seen with AI rather than it taking over our lives and our jobs at the moment.
Yes, exactly. I completely agree. Very much still needed, but has definitely changed the way that we're working at the minute. Norma in here has asked you all how to handle getting the first interview with no experience other than coursework. Is networking the first step? What did you all do when you went for your first interview? Were you networking? Were you trying to build a network at that point? If you don't have any experience, what do you do?
I built a funny website, literally a website that had funny videos.
Awesome.
Or, brighten your day or something like that. I mean, I think demonstration of your skills. So a website, build yourself maybe a GitHub page, GitHub repo, put some snippets of things that you like to work on, add that to your CV. That's, I think, what helped me, which is just putting a few links of different websites that I've tried, a couple of courses that I've done. It is really hard to get that first one. I struggled with it, but I think by just showing your work, potentially maybe taking on freelancing and just showing that off as well, that is really helpful. I think internships as well. My sister took an internship and it was unpaid, but she went for it, and then a few months after, she got her first job. So
And that must have,
opportunities.
yeah, that internship, I've heard it from quite a few interns that we've spoken to in our community. That really does help with confidence as well, and going into your first jobs and everything that we've spoken about on here about when you're shy and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone in your first job and how hard that can be for so many of us. Because I can see in here Millie has said something about that. She said, love what you said about getting involved and don't be shy. Quite introverted, and although she pushes herself not to be, she's still quite shy. Do you have any tips on putting myself out there? Is there anything that you did? I mean, getting the interview is one thing and having the confidence to get in is one, but when you get in and having to push yourself out of your comfort zone, that's something else. So are there any tips for what you did when you first started?
One of the things that I did, because I am also like very, very shy, and especially when I was younger, it was a really big struggle for me. But I found that going to like tech events, like meetup groups and things like that, really helps. A lot of them kind of have ways for you to network as well. They'll have something like built in, and it kind of starts encouraging you to talk to people, talking to like one-on-one to start with, and then building it up, talking to small groups, talking in front of a team, talking in front of like bigger things. Eventually you can ramp up to being a lot more confident in larger settings, but definitely just trying to find ways to introduce yourself to new people, I think, is a great way to overcome it, or at least it was for me.
I have
Yes.
a funny story on how mine came around. So yeah, it was like fairly early on. And we were celebrating a company event. It was like a big thing, and I did the cake cutting. And I know it's just like as simple as cake cutting, but through that cake cutting, I spoke to so many people. Like and you know, everyone will say thank you, and you know, maybe someone, like a few people didn't recognize me, so they asked me who I was and what I was doing there, and just simply I then got the title of like the cake cutter, because every company event that came off, I was doing the cake cutting. So honestly, don't look for the big things. It could be something as small as cake cutting that will spark a conversation, that will kind of get you out there. And you know, even if like a company event is coming up, you don't have to be the light of that event. You know, you can give your opinions behind the scene. You can like sort of connect with those people that are doing the events, and they will still know who you are, and you're putting yourself out there, just maybe a bit more like in your comfort zone. But yeah, maybe try cake cutting.
I love that. The tiniest things, but you would have met so many people that you wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yeah.
Love that. It is the small things. You're so right. People, I think that they have to go in and be a public speaker on something or put themselves forward, and you're not quite ready for that. So why put yourself in that position if you're not ready for it? Yeah, just trying to find the small things. I love that. I can see Connie Foster. Hi, Connie Foster. We love Connie. She's such an advocate in our community. She said, thanks for this session. I'm in my first role at the moment, but I feel like I'm ready to move on. Do you have any tips on small ways that I can demonstrate that I'm ready for the next step? How do you make that obvious to your manager that you want to be like, I'm over here for promotion? Like, how do you think you can make that obvious to the people that need to know?
As hard as it might be, you're going to have to speak with them.
Yeah.
It can be quite difficult, but if you have a supportive manager, you know, rehearse it, write a script for yourself, practice it in front of a mirror, or it can be as simple as, okay, this is where I am right now. I want to see how I can progress. What feedback can you give me? Objectives can I set for myself to progress the next step? And depending on what your next step is, maybe look at if the company has sort of objectives list for each job and each level, then maybe take a look at that and see how you measure against it. And then you can present that as well to say, actually, I'm looking at this and this is what I want to work towards. And most times, managers will want to keep you. They'll be quite supportive and they'll encourage you and they'll help you to get to that next step. I think it's hard. I've been in a lot of hard conversations myself, but I think, yeah, just rehearse it, write a script for yourself and just go for it.
Yes, and as well, because I've found in the past that managers are not mind readers as well, and they don't always know that you're looking or considering the next step, hopefully within that company. But sometimes if you're sitting there thinking, you know what, I've worked really hard here and nobody's really noticed or put me forward for something, when actually they might not have noticed even that you were interested in that role. So yes, sometimes it is having that awkward conversation and saying, I'd like to try something else, instead of just assuming that you're always going to get noticed as well, which I think is something that takes a little while for you to realise. When in work you kind of think, oh, everybody's going to notice my hard work, of course they're going to notice, but that's not always the case. And you know, a company is functioning on lots of different levels, so sometimes you really do have to put yourself forward and say, I'd like to do something else. I can see Connie Foster in here agreeing with you all on imposter syndrome as well. Imposter syndrome is strong. We agree, Connie. So someone has said in here, thanks for the session. I've just started my first role as a junior software developer and I'm feeling overwhelmed by the amount of new tools and processes I need to learn. How can I prioritise my learning without feeling like I'm falling behind? Like, you've all had that moment where you feel like, I can't keep up with everything, I'm falling behind. Did you have any tips and tricks and how you keep up to date with everything and prioritise the new things you need to learn?
I guess for me, like I felt that when I started, I thought, okay, I learned the basic of programming. That's all I need to know to be a software developer. And then I came in and had to learn like 10 million things that I didn't even realize I had to learn. I guess I just kind of, some of the stuff, it's like you need to know it to set that thing up. But once it's set up, you probably are never going to have to touch it again. So those things I would just not even bother trying to learn right now. I would focus on the things you use day to day. Like if you're struggling with Git, maybe have a look at a YouTube video or do a little course or something. Just try and think about the tools that you are using most often and prioritize learning those. And find different ways to learn it as well, like find like videos or articles, things like that, like, and figure out what's going to make sense to you the best, and just keep trying, and eventually you'll start to pick things up as you do them more and more.
Yes, I love that. Finding what works for you as well is, it doesn't work for everybody, but keep trying, and then the things that work for you will almost become a habit in the end. We're running out of time. I can see somebody's put in here though, you touched upon it earlier, but I'm transitioning into tech now. So I'm slightly older than my colleagues. I have responsibilities, etc. Is there a way I can connect with my teammates without feeling like I have to spend my evenings in the pub? We touched upon that earlier. Jenny, you mentioned that. I'm currently feeling like Rachel in Friends when she starts smoking just to talk to her boss. Anyone else felt like that? Hopefully nobody took up smoking just to feel like they could get in and talk to their boss. But Jenny, you touched upon it. There are certain social opportunities at work where you think, if that's the only thing I can do, if I only go to the pub to make sure that I connect with everybody, is not the best way to connect. And this person is slightly older than their colleagues as well. They're gonna feel incredibly out of place. I suppose some of that, though, if you all agree, comes down to your company, again, creating opportunities where you can come together that are not just at the pub or taking up smoking to connect with people. Would you all agree with that? Again, it comes down to being in the right company and the right opportunities. And I take it no one has taken up smoking.
Yeah, I mean, if the company doesn't do it, then you could always be the first one to suggest it. If it's not to your teammates, then maybe to your lead, to your line manager. You can start small. Suggest maybe some game time once a week, or some random catch-ups, or it can be as easy as, hey, you want to grab a coffee and go for a chat or something like that. Have regular catch-ups with your teammates. I generally don't do a lot of social after work, but I try to take advantage of those little opportunities throughout the working day where you can catch up with your teammates to kind of have that teammate bond, sort of, to work better, I suppose. Maybe create that opportunity if that's not there.
Yes, I love that. Yes, finding a way to do that, and working in a hybrid environment, it can be difficult to have that connection sometimes, or even if you're fully remote, that's even harder. So making time to have a quick coffee on a call, or but just setting that time aside where you don't talk about work is so important nowadays. Whereas before, when everybody was in the office full time, you might have more opportunities to have like those water cooler moments where you actually connect and bond. But it's quite difficult nowadays to do that. So you do really need to set that time aside. We are out of time. I wanted to touch on one more thing though. Gayatri, tell us a little bit about Code for Creatives and how anyone listening can get involved in that. We will also add a link.
Yes, so Code for Creatives, I am doing a lot more exciting things in the next couple of months. Today I actually launched, I am doing a masterclass in 2 weeks on the 2nd of September, which is a strategic job search masterclass. So anyone who joins will get access to email templates, how to basically make sure that your CVs get past the ATS systems, a whole load of resources to help you. And during the masterclass, I'll be helping you to come up with a strategy to help your job search better, so that you don't feel like you're just applying to 50 applications and not hearing anything. You want to make sure you're doing it strategically and not just apply for every single software engineer job out there. You want to make sure you're going for the right ones that you can actually do, and the ones that you actually want to go for as well as also how to vet different companies. So I'm going to be going through a 3-tier system, which basically puts your dream companies out there, because sometimes what happens is we apply for jobs in tech and we aim for the big companies Facebook, Google, everything, which is obviously a big dream, but we want to make sure we're being realistic as well with the companies that we're approaching and not just going for the bigger ones as well. Not to say don't go for them, but we want to make sure that we are getting interview practice with other companies as well and not just going straight into like 7-round interviews. But if you follow me on LinkedIn or send me a message there, I'll be sharing more around like how to get more involved with Code for Creatives. I send a lot of email newsletters around tips and tricks for the job search. And if I do spot any good jobs or any good opportunities, then I do send them out to my email list as well.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Anybody listening, please do take a look and sign up. But we are already out of time. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today on this panel. It's gone super, super fast. So Gayatri, Hiba, Jenni, Teuta, thank you so, so much. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. And for all of our community, as always, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for always being so chatty. Apologies if we didn't get to all of our questions, because you all ask so many amazing questions every webinar, but you will see this recording again on our website and in our community tomorrow. If you haven't joined our community, obviously go over to shecancode.io and sign up. It is free and we would absolutely love to see you in there. You will see all of us giving you a wave. We wave to new members every Friday, so you can't run from us. We know that you're in there and we want to say hi and spotlight you. But thank you everybody for joining. We hope to see you again on the next one, and thank you to our incredible panel. Thank you everyone. Bye.
Thank you.